Let's talk updates in TBR. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I'm Andrew, and today I've got an update and as well as the February 2022 TBR. But before we get into that, make sure you're liking and subscribing, hitting that bell notification so you can get regular updates for when I put out new content. I post every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Also, make sure you're checking that description box down below for the link to the Wizardly Duo Discord, as well as links to all of my social media and information about my Patreon. And speaking of Patreon, let's talk to some updates to the Patreon. We're about 3 or 4 months into this thing now, and frankly, it's going really well. I cannot thank you all enough for your support. All of your help goes towards equipment, books, subscription services, things of that nature, maintaining the channel, and I really, really appreciate that. And so now that we're like 3 or 4 months in, I kind of got a better idea of how this thing works, and so we're going to be making a few changes. So I was doing 2 to 3 videos a week early access for my wizard tier, top tier master patrons. I'm going to be dropping that down to at least 1 video a week that you get early access to. However, I will then be implementing in a kind of weekly update, 3 to 4 minute kind of vlog style, just sit there, tell you about how I'm doing with my reading. And I kind of do this on Goodreads already, so if you follow me on Goodreads, which is, you know, the link to that is in the description, you get updates of how I'm doing, but like, you know, you don't get how I'm feeling about those readings. And so I kind of want to do just kind of informal, just impromptu style updates to my patrons, which will then be in the description, be on my Patreon stuff. That will be available to the Wizard Master and the Wizard Journeyman tier. Then also, once we reach about 25 patrons, because we're at 20 right now, I want to start implementing quarterly book giveaways of like $15 to $20 books for the patrons. So basically I'll spin the wheel once a quarter, and whoever gets that will get a book from me. Either via Book Depository or Amazon, however that should work. So I'm super excited when we hit that milestone to get to that. And then also, the way that the Patron Buddy Read had been working was I would submit 5 books, and then people were voting, and then we would all choose to read on it. Usually I only get about 1 or 2 people voting or reading with me. Not voting with me, reading with me. I actually get a lot of participation voting. A lot of you seem to use that voting, though, to force me to read a book that you want me to read, which is fine. And so I think that's going to stop being a buddy read and be more of on, like, the group gets to vote on a book for me to read. And that's not really changing at all, but, like, instead of creating, like, buddy read channels, I'm just going to create an additional channel where if you want to read it with me, you can. And so basically, I'll be posting comments as I read in that dedicated channel in the Discord, and then we can have discussions there about the book. And so if people want to join me, then they can choose to do so. So that said, guys, let's talk TBR. That's enough about the Patreon. And guys, January was absolutely a month of insanity. My reading level, and this is entirely due to audiobooks, just went from here to here. So I've got an ambitious TBR here. I don't actually think I'll be able to get through it all, but at the same time, I mean, it's massive. Let's talk about it. So, first off, there's the read-along for The Green Rider that is hosted by Fina, from my good friend Fina, and patron from Fina Reads. I was initially very lukewarm on Green Rider. Like, it's a style of book that I usually don't read. Like, it relies very much on very classic tropes, but it all comes together at the end, and it just kind of grew on me. So I'm super excited to read the second book, which is The First Rider's Call, which I kind of understand that reference now from the title, from after reading the first book. And I read the first book in a single day. It was about 400 pages. Like I said, guys, my reading has just increased because I've gotten used to faster audiobooks. So that is on the TBR. Then we were going to be wrapping up LPQ with the 4th and final book in this bind-up. I don't actually know the name of it, which you would think that I did, but I don't. Let's see if I can just scroll to it. The Price of Spring. There we go. Boom. Found it. So we're going to be wrapping that up. I don't know who's hosting the live show at this time, because at the time of recording, we have not yet done the live show for the second book. But guys, I am super excited. I've been loving LPQ, and I cannot wait to see how this ends with a bang. And then when it comes to my patron stuff, I should have probably started the video or the TBR with this. The buddy read that I mentioned earlier, where people choose a book for me to read, this kind of lines up really well with the Library of Alexandrian's read-along for the Chronicles of the Unhewn Throne. They are starting this in February as well. So I think a lot of people just wanted to read it, so it lines up perfectly. It's pretty much on all of our TBRs anyway, so we're going to be starting The Emperor's Blades. And then, of course, I spun the wheel. My patron, Sharon, chose a book for me to read, and last month I read the first and the second book in the Rift War cycle. And so that means I've only got the third and final from the Rift War trilogy, and then I've got, the greater series to get into, but I don't own any of those yet. So that's A Darkness at Sethanon. I'm really enjoying Raymond E. Feist's writing style. It's very classic, but at the same time, Pug and Thomas, however you say it, they're fantastic. I love them. And then I promised her, this is an if. If I have time, I would fit in the first book in the Godblind trilogy by Anna Stevens. But we'll see, because this is already a massive TBR. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 books in the shortest month of the year. So we'll see what happens. Then, of course, we are continuing our read-along of the Winnowing Flame trilogy with the Bitter Twins. Ninth Reign was good. I was not blown away at all. I felt like it just had some weird pacing and structural issues, and it didn't really put a hook in until the last 50 pages of a 500-page book, which was kind of meh for me. So I think I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5. I'm super excited to see if this continues the ramp up, or if we just kind of continue. We'll see what happens here with the Bitter Twins. We've got some good discussion going on in the Discord. The read-along is still going, so if you want to jump in, you have plenty of time to catch up. And then continuing along with my Dark Tower read-along. I read The Gunslinger in a single day yesterday, which is no surprise, because it's a really short book. And now we've got The Drawing of the Three. This is the second book in the Dark Tower, also a fairly short book, which makes me happy. I'm enjoying my time back in with Roland and everything like that. I don't remember a whole lot about this book. It's been 13 years, I think, since I read this, so my memory is very, very faint. I know what The Drawing of the Three means, but I am looking forward to the refresh. Alright, and then speaking of refresh, Nico and I have been talking for months and months and months about doing this. And guys, it's time to get back to basics, back to the Wheel of Time. I love my Wheel and my Serpent. I've got one hanging on the wall over here as well. It used to be right over my shoulder, I think right here. I don't know. Directions and stuff. Yeah, it was right there. Okay. I haven't read this in 4 or 5 years, and this is my favorite book of all time. I am super excited to see if my opinion still holds true. So I'm super excited to be getting into this. We are going to be reading the entire Wheel of Time starting in February, one a month. So if you need or want to join us, you can. And then my good buddy James has been pestering me. He's like, how dare you start The Shadow of What Was Lost, which is Lacanius book 1, and then not immediately go into book 2. Well, don't worry, James. It's time. The Echo of Things to Come is going to be read this month. I'm super excited for it. It's a big, big, chunky book. I thought The Shadow of What Was Lost had a lot of potential. And so I'm super excited to see how that pays off here in book number 2. And then I read 2 books in the Death Collection in the month of January, just because I couldn't stop. And so that means it's time for Hogfather. I've heard that this is the best death book, which I'm excited for because I loved most of Reaper Man, and then Soul Music was pretty good, but I'm still waiting to be wowed by the death books, mainly because when I'm reading something called the Death Collection, I want more death. I mean, I'm wearing a death shirt right now where I could murder a curry. Like, I like death as a character in these books, and so I'm hoping that this is where he finally really shines, because he's always amusing, but I never get enough page count with him. So here's hoping Hogfather is where it finally happens. And then I've been really wanting to read this one, and this is Burn Red Skies by Kirsten Espinosa Rosario. This is about dragons. The back of this book sounds awesome. It starts with a rift that burns 1,000 scars into the sky. It makes the wind stop. It makes the stars go dark. It awakens an ancient beast, and within it, a new rain of blood. It is the summoning, and at the heart of it is fire. It just sounds awesome. This is an SPF BO 7? I think we're on number 7 finalist. So I've heard great things about it, and I really, really want to give this a shot. And then I have alternating months to try and finish up this series with The Expanse. So it's currently time for the second book in Legends of the First Empire. And then next month will be The Expanse, and then Legends of the First Empire, and The Expanse. You see where this is going. I really want to finish both of those books, or both of those series this year. So Age of Swords, I was kind of lukewarm on the first book, which I have kind of a ranty review for the first book, which I'll go ahead and link up in the cards. That came out last week. And yeah, so I'm hopeful for the second book because I heard it gets better. And then I started last month Chasing Graves book 1. It's pretty good. It took a little while to like, but it took a little while to hook me, but it's got a pretty good interest. I'm getting tongue-tied, guys. It's got an interesting magic system. There we go. I got it out. And just great covers. But this is by Ben Galley. This is Grim Solace. I have no idea what this is about yet because at the time of recording, I am currently about halfway through. I'm 40% through. Actually, I had to think. I had to use the old. I'm 40% through the first book. So, guys, like, I'll hold it up for you, and you probably saw it in the thumbnail. But, like, this is an unacceptable large stack of books to try and read in February. And there we go. I'm going to try and read all of this in February. Whether or not I succeed and how heavily I kind of lean on audiobooks, we will see. It's been a wild reading month in January. So here's hoping that I haven't just shot myself straight in the foot. That said, guys, let me know in the comment section down below what your February TBRs are. Or, you know, what you think of any of these books. I'd happily engage in some conversation with you. So, till next time, guys. Peace out. Stay magical. Bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.